Imagine this. Two people walk into a room. One is attractive, well-dressed, even charming at first glance. The second person looks average, nothing special. Yet within 5 minutes, everyone in the room is gravitating toward the second person. They're drawn in, smiling, listening, responding. Why? Because people don't react to how you look. They react to how you make them feel. And how you make them feel is shaped by how you talk. This is exactly what Dr. Mira Tan, a urologist and communication researcher, refers to when she explains the 2-minute rule. The idea that the first 2 minutes of conversation determine whether someone feels attraction, comfort, curiosity, or absolutely nothing at all. And here's the surprising part. Most people think attraction starts with looks, money, muscles, or confidence. But according to Dr. Mira Tan's observations working with thousands of patients and couples, attraction almost always begins with conversational energy. Not the words themselves, but the tone, pace, and the emotional signal behind them. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever met someone good-looking, but the second they opened their mouth, the vibe died? Maybe they spoke too fast. Maybe they explained too much. Maybe their tone felt needy, uncertain, or mechanical, like they were reading from a script. On the other hand, maybe you've met someone who wasn't physically your type at first. Yet, after just a few moments of talking, they suddenly seemed far more interesting, maybe even attractive. They didn't try hard. They didn't show off. They just talked in a way that made your brain relax. This is the foundation of conversational attraction. Make the other person feel emotionally safe, and their interest rises. Make them feel stressed, pressured, or bored, and their attraction collapses. And this is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They talk in ways that over-explain, seek approval, try to impress sound, apologetic, fill silence out of anxiety, use high-pitched, rushed, or uncertain tones. These speech patterns send one message: I need something from you. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Dr. Mira Tan emphasizes this in her clinic all the time. People form instant judgments not based on the content of your conversation, but the emotional vibe your voice communicates. If your tone says, I'm calm, controlled, and comfortable with myself, people lean in. If your tone says, I'm trying to prove myself, people back away, even if they can't explain why. This brings us to the core idea of this chapter. Speech is chemistry. Not vocabulary, not pickup lines, not flirting tricks. Chemistry is created when your voice communicates confidence, calmness, and curiosity. A blend that the human brain interprets as attractive, trustworthy, and desirable. In the next part, we'll break down the 2-minute rule itself. What to say, what to avoid, and how to speak in a way that naturally pulls someone toward you without effort, tricks, or awkwardness. Now that you understand why your tone matters more than your words, let's get into the heart of Dr. Mira Tan's concept, the 2-minute rule. This rule explains how to talk in the first 2 minutes of any interaction so that the other person instantly feels drawn to you, without forcing anything, without being fake, and without using cheesy pickup lines. The 2-minute rule has 3 pillars: slow down, simplify, signal confidence. Let's break each one down. 1. Slow down, because fast talking feels unsafe. The human brain is wired to associate rushed speech with stress, pressure, or desperation. When someone talks too fast, our mind automatically goes into defense mode. We feel like we're being sold something, examined, or pushed. But when you slow down your pace, even by just 10%, it sends a powerful subconscious message. I'm in control. I'm comfortable. There's no rush here. Dr. Mira Tan says one of the most common complaints she hears from couples is this: he doesn't listen, or she talks too fast, it stresses me out. A slow pace makes the other person's nervous system relax, and attraction cannot exist in a tense nervous system. Try this in your next conversation. Pause for half a second before you respond. Let your sentences breathe. Don't rush to fill silence. Silence isn't awkward when confidence is present. Silence only becomes awkward when insecurity tries to hide. 2. Simplify. Because short sentences feel more confident. You've probably seen this. Someone gets nervous and suddenly turns into a TED Talk speaker, over-explaining, rambling, giving too much detail. But confident people talk in simple, clean, grounded sentences. Instead of, yeah, I think I kind of like hiking because it's good exercise, and I guess I've always enjoyed nature since I was a kid. Say, I like hiking. It clears my mind. Short sentences hit harder. Short sentences feel secure. Short sentences allow the other person to react, connect, and feel something. The goal of the first 2 minutes is not to impress. It's to create emotional space. 3. Signal confidence without trying to be confident. This part often confuses people because they believe confidence must be performed. But real confidence isn't loud. It isn't flashy. It isn't a deep voice or an alpha posture. Real confidence is this. You talk as if you have nothing to prove. In the first 2 minutes, confidence shows up in subtle ways. You answer questions directly. You don't justify your opinions. You don't rush to please. You maintain steady eye contact. You smile naturally, not as a performance. The brain notices these microsignals instantly. And here's the key insight from Dr. Mira Tan. Attraction rises when someone feels they're talking to a person who is comfortable in their own skin. Not perfect, not dominant, just comfortable. When you combine all 3 pillars, slowing down, simplifying, and signaling confidence, something interesting happens. People start leaning in. They listen more closely. They ask more questions. They feel safe opening up. They feel the beginning of chemistry. Not because you're trying to get something, but because you're giving them a calm emotional environment to enjoy the moment. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to deepen attraction after those first 2 minutes are over, and how to keep the connection growing naturally. Once you've mastered the 2-minute rule and created that initial spark, the next challenge is keeping the connection alive. As Dr. Mira Tan explains, most people think attraction is won in the opening lines. But the truth is, lasting attraction is built in the minutes that follow, when the nervous system is calm and both people feel safe enough to open up. Think of the first 2 minutes as unlocking a door. What happens next is what decides whether someone wants to walk through it. This part of the conversation isn't about being impressive, it's about being real, present, and emotionally grounded. And that's where most people make mistakes. They switch from calm and confident to trying to entertain, impress, or perform. They start worrying about being interesting rather than being interested. Dr. Mira Tan calls this the shift of pressure. When you take pressure off yourself and put focus on the interaction, the conversation becomes smooth and effortless. The moment you start trying to win the other person, tension rises, awkwardness creeps in, and the attraction you built begins to evaporate. So how do you keep the vibe strong after the first 2 minutes? The key is to move from surface-level conversation to emotional connection. Not deep, heavy conversations, but simple invitations that let the other person express who they are. Humans bond through shared feelings, not shared information. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of asking flat, factual questions like, "What do you do?" "Where are you from?" "Do you have siblings?" Shift to questions that invite emotion. What's something recently that made you laugh? What's your favorite part of what you do? What's something you enjoy that most people don't know about you? Notice the difference. One set collects data, the other creates connection. But here's the bigger secret. Connection isn't created by what you ask, but by how you respond. When someone answers, don't rush to jump in with your own story. Don't try to top their experience. Don't turn the conversation into a competition. Instead, let your reaction show genuine curiosity. Simple responses like, "That's interesting, tell me more." "I like the way you said that." That actually says a lot about you. These small phrases show that you're paying attention, and attention is one of the most attractive traits a person can display. Dr. Mira Tan emphasizes that attraction deepens not through excitement, but through micro-validations. Tiny moments where someone feels seen, heard, and valued. It's not about flattery, it's about presence, and presence is rare. In a world of distractions, the person who listens fully, speaks intentionally, and engages deliberately stands out instantly. That's why some conversations feel magnetic while others feel forgettable. In the next part, we'll explore the exact conversational techniques Dr. Mira Tan teaches her clients to maintain attraction effortlessly. Techniques that feel natural, not scripted. Now that the foundation of connection is set, this final section focuses on something Dr. Mira Tan calls conversational gravity. It's the natural pull someone feels toward you when the interaction stops being a performance and becomes a rhythm. A back-and-forth flow that feels balanced, warm, and easy. Contrary to what many people believe, this has nothing to do with being funny, overly charismatic, or saying all the right things. Conversational gravity emerges from three subtle techniques: mirroring emotion, calibrated vulnerability, and emotional pacing. Let's break them down. 1. Mirroring emotion. Not words. People often hear the word mirroring and think it means copying someone's body language or tone. That's outdated, robotic advice. And honestly, when done poorly, it feels creepy. What Dr. Mira Tan teaches instead is emotional mirroring. Here's how it works. If the other person shares something light and playful, match their playfulness. If they talk about something thoughtful or meaningful, ease your tone into that space too. It's not about imitation. It's about alignment. When you match someone's emotional wavelength, their brain receives a powerful signal. This person gets me. This creates instant psychological safety, which deepens attraction far more than jokes, compliments, or manufactured charm ever could. 2. Calibrated vulnerability. Enough to be real, not enough to overload. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing vulnerability with oversharing. Suddenly, the conversation turns into a therapy session, or worse, a confession. Dr. Mira Tan teaches a simple rule: vulnerability should open the door, not flood the room. Instead of dumping your life story, offer small, honest glimpses into who you are, things that show depth without asking the other person to emotionally rescue you. For example, instead of, "I've been through so many terrible relationships," say, "I've learned a lot about myself from past relationships." Instead of, "I get anxious meeting new people," say, "I'm usually a little reserved at first, but I warm up quickly." These kinds of statements are human, relatable, and grounded. They invite connection without demanding emotional labor. And when you share just a little, something beautiful happens. The other person feels safe to share a little too. That's how intimacy grows. Step by step, not all at once. 3. Emotional pacing, balancing depth and lightness. Great conversations aren't deep all the time. They're not playful all the time either. They move in waves, steady, smooth, and balanced. This is emotional pacing. Think of it like music. If every note is loud, it's overwhelming. If every note is soft, it's boring. But a mix, a gentle rhythm, feels good. After a meaningful moment, bring the conversation back to something light. That's actually really cool. By the way, have you ever noticed how, after a playful moment, add a hint of depth? You're fun to talk to. What makes you this way? This pacing prevents emotional burnout and creates a sense of effortlessness, the exact feeling people associate with compatibility. And according to Dr. Mira Tan, effortless is the new attractive. When someone feels comfortable, understood, curious, and calm around you, attraction doesn't just stay. It grows. Not because you tried to be interesting, not because you tried to be impressive, but because you created an emotional environment where both of you could be yourselves. That's conversational gravity. And once you master it, the way you talk becomes naturally magnetic, not just for 2 minutes, but for the entire interaction.